アメリカの新型コロナウイルスの流行もそうなんですが、現在、ワシントン州シアトルで警察はデモ隊との衝突の中でデモは暴徒化していると表明しています。オレゴン州ポートランドでもデモが続いているわけですが、最新の情報をお願いします。北西太平洋側ですが、混乱が続いています。シアトル警察によりますと、土曜日の夕方、16人が逮捕されました。警察官2人が怪我をし、そして病院に運ばれ、1人は足を怪我をしたということです。爆発物で怪我をしたと警察は発表しました。デモ隊員の一部が警官隊と衝突。警察はこのデモについて暴徒と化したと発表。爆発物などをデモ隊が警官隊に投げてくるということで、ただ多くは平和的です。デモをする理由ですが、やはり人種差別に対する抗議、これはジョージ・フロイドさんというなど、黒人男性が白人警官にこれまでずっと犠牲になってきたことに対してですね、そしてこのポートランドでトランプ政権は多数の連邦職員を送りました。連邦政府の建物、財産を守るためだとしています。しかし、この連邦職員は武装してデモ隊員をこの例えば車両に連れて行ったり、表示のない、ですから何の車かわからない、そういうところに連行したりしたわけです。また、ワシントン州のシアトルの裁判所は、催涙ガスなどを警察が使うことに対して差し止めを命じました。禁止命令を出しました。催涙ガスはダメだということです。オレゴン州でもシアトルでも人々がデモを行っています。もともと黒人差別反対運動が出発点となったんですが、今、連邦警察、地元警察とデモ隊の対立の構図となっています。表現の自由を求めているわけですね。警察が強圧的な対応をしているということに抗議をしています。厳しい状況ですね。すでに警察はデモ隊が暴徒と化したと表明しています。オレゴン州ポートランドから伝えてもらいました。
暴力をエスカレートしてはいけないということです。大統領はですね、シアトルのような都市、コントロールができていないと、市長ができない、知事もダメだと言っていましたよね。だから連邦のサポートが必要なんだとトランプ大統領は言っていました。どうですか？私は警察署長を信じています。シアトルの公衆安全に関して彼が最もよく知っています。トランプ大統領は知りません。彼は国のリーダーであり、よく話をしますけれども、民主党の市長がリードする都市を狙って攻撃しています。自分の目的のためにやってるんです。都市はもちろん連邦の支援が必要な時もあります。それはコロナウイルスに関してです。連邦政府の力を使って検査をもっと拡大したいと思っているんです。しかしながら、そうでなく、間違った方向に連邦政府は導いています。連邦治安部隊をこの都市に送って緊張をエスカレートさせているんです。アメリカはそんなものを必要としていません。危険なエスカレーションになっています。連邦の検事であったことが分かります。ですから、地元とその連邦とこういった法執行機関がどのように協力するか知っています。このようなことを見たことありませんでした。私のキャリアの中で連邦職員が送り込まれます。それは地元の法執行機関と協力していない形で送り込まれてきたのです。先例のないことです。間違ったやり方です。アメリカの社会そのものが今脅威にさらされているということになります。そうですね。こういった社会の機関が 反撃できればと思います。
Body cam video released by Seattle police show the violent confrontation between officers and protesters outside the West Precinct on Sunday.
12 officers were hurt when protesters attacked with bottles, road cones, and mortar-style fireworks.
Watch out!
In this shocking new body cam video, SPD officers are literally backed into a corner at the West Precinct as explosions are aimed at them. SPD says officers were attacked with bottles, street cones, and fireworks after they tried stopping a protester who's caught on camera blocking a security camera with an umbrella.
We're not punching bags. We don't take this job to be cannon fodder.
Seattle Police Officer Guild President Mike Solon says the instigators need to be held accountable.
Obviously, the writing's on the wall. If they continue with this type of domestic terrorism, number one, more officers are going to get hurt, or God forbid, they're going to get killed.
The confrontation at the West Precinct was part of the Sunday violence that left a trail of destruction from downtown to Capitol Hill.
It definitely turned into property destruction and violent behavior.
12 officers were injured throughout the day. One of the officers was hit in the neck with fragments from the explosions and had to go to the hospital.
It's very important that the community knows what is going on during these protests and demonstrations.
Solon is calling for city leaders and prosecutors to step up. He's asking other local, state, and federal agencies for help in handling these protests that are quickly getting out of control.
Yeah, we took an oath of service to give our lives to complete strangers. But when there's no follow-up on the criminal justice side post-arrest, it only emboldens these criminals. So we need help. We need significant, serious help.
Eric, those protests are in solidarity with the demonstrators combating federal agents in Portland. And as you can see, what's happening here down at the West Precinct, SPD is already prepping with 1,000-pound cement blocks to protect their precinct. And now, late today, the chief has told her officers, don't get into harm's way because the council has taken away your tools to disperse crowds. At first, it was peaceful. But protesters told us a faction set on violence began vandalizing parts of Capitol Hill. About 150 people, police say, broke windows, looted, and tried to set buildings on fire. Then they just stopped. Police stayed away while the vandalism happened. But more scheduled protests are coming, starting in Tacoma tomorrow afternoon, Olympia, a big one in Seattle, and all the banners show confrontations with police. This afternoon, SDOT crews began constructing a cement fortress around the entrance to SPD's West Precinct, boarding up windows that are exposed to the street. And now tactics are changing. There's a court order preventing SPD from using chemical and kinetic methods to disperse crowds. And that means no tear gas, flashbangs, and other non-lethal methods except pepper spray. And the mayor's request to prevent a permanent ban passed unanimously by the city council from taking effect on Sunday was declined by federal judge James Robart, which has prompted an alarming email by the chief of police to her officers, knowing these tactics are no longer available to her officers. She writes, I want to be clear that I will never ask you to risk your personal safety to protect property without the tools to do so in a safe way. And I cannot ask any of you to do this work limited only to your sidearm, baton, and body as tools. These are not tools that are reasonable in modern policing for crowd control. Before the council passed the ban, she addressed the council.
Which is why I'm asking the city council, I'm imploring them to have a public safety mindset and to think about what options are available to cause the least amount of harm or hurt to an individual or individuals when responding.
And the council is feeling pressure too, including death threats regarding their positions on defunding SPD.
When it does cross into, profanities at children or the letters and comments that we've been receiving about death threats and the such, I think that it is really hard for our body as a whole to continue to move forward in a proactive and progressive manner.
Mary, we're being told that these tactical teams are in place just in case. Now, other agents may have already been stationed here, and they can be quickly reassigned to protect federal property or possibly address protest activity. Seattle may not see federal officers taking up positions the same way as they have in Portland, but they are here and they are ready to go.
Both DHS and DOJ have
tactical teams that they send around the country for various operations.
Retired FBI agent David Gomez says it's routine for Homeland Security to redeploy forces as needed.
But if they did, that wouldn't necessarily be unusual, and it wouldn't necessarily mean that they were targeting protesters up on Capitol Hill.
Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkin says she spoke with the Secretary of Homeland Security and was told DHS has no plans and sees no need to send federal forces to Seattle. He committed to notifying Chief Carmen Best and myself should that change. However, Homeland Security does plan to safeguard several federal properties in downtown Seattle, and the mayor has been told that DHS now says they have a limited number of agents in the area on standby to protect federal buildings.
If they send tactical units here and those units maintain a low profile, that's one thing. But once they become visible, they're going to provoke the more violent segments of the protesters.
What are you going to get out of this? You know what I'm saying?
They rampage through parts of Capitol Hill. Neighbors like Kim Kwan are wondering.
Yeah, it is getting old, man.
Who are these people, and why would they do this?
Are you guys mad at your grocery store?
Ian Eisenberg believes it's the type of store in what's perceived as an elite neighborhood now being targeted by these hooligans.
They're picking targets that they perceive as big companies.
Whole Foods, Starbucks, the Amazon Go store, to name a few.
You know, because they don't like capitalism.
It's hard to ignore the signs of class warfare. It's spray painted on Eisenberg's marijuana dispensary in Capitol Hill.
Some people say that I'm gentrifying Capitol Hill.
Surveillance video shows vandals trashing a shop in less than 5 minutes.
Right here.
Who is he?
I've heard him referred to as a trumpet man.
Including this guy in the ponytail holding a trumpet. Eisenberg recognizes him from the Capitol Hill occupied protest zone, also known as the Chop, before it got cleared out a few weeks ago.
All this stuff makes no sense.
So far, authorities say no one's been arrested. They just know around 150 people gathered near Cal Anderson Park Wednesday evening before the destruction and looting.
They were high-fiving their friends. They were throwing rocks, baseball bats.
And even with crystal clear video now in the hands of investigators, Eisenberg is wondering if anything will be done.
If the prosecutors won't prosecute the crimes, what's the point?
We're not exactly rich.
Kim Smith lives right next door to the pot dispensary.
We basically ran in front, grabbed the fire extinguishers right out of my building here.
Her sons Joshua and Tony Smith,
the place could have caught on fire and she could have been, you know, trapped in the house,
are being praised for putting out the flames.
They acted very quickly and they had a level head.
We asked police in the mayor's office if they have a plan to respond. No one got back to us. From Seattle, Jonathan Cho, Como News.